Hey,
Good morning.
this is Kim.
This is Andy.
We're going to read to you from the Urantia book, but first we have 365 Days Walking the Red Road by Terry G. You did that so dramatically. You have a flair.
Okay, today we'll hear from Running Antelope following George Custer's 1874 Black Hills Gold Expedition.
Oh, okay. So this was before the Little
Little
Bighorn
Bighorn.
was in 1876, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Running Antelope said the land known as the Black Hills is considered by the Indians as the center of their land. And they have not given it up, nor have they accepted millions of dollars in payment. Did you know in the 1828 Cherokee Phoenix, the first American Indian newspaper was published in both Cherokee and English? I didn't know that. 365 days of walking the red road, or doing the red road as you're doing this week. I sweat yesterday and going up on the hill in 2 days. Yeah. Then we have the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu.
Translation by Derek Lynn. Chapter 60.
Ruling a large country is like cooking small fish.
Who would have thought, right?
What a thought.
This is a famous line, though. If you use too much heat, you will overcook the fish. If you keep turning the fish over and over, it will fall apart. Right?
Mhm.
So, what is that a metaphor for? Using too much heat, too much force, or being impatient with the people and
Right.
trying to force them into line right away. Then you overcook the fish. If you keep turning the fish, like changing your mind and like going this way, whatever's convenient, okay, whatever they want, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Then it will fall apart. Similarly, if a ruler constantly meddles in the affairs of the people with excessive rules and regulations, the country becomes chaotic and everyone suffers. Similarly, when we manage our lives, we also need to be careful not to second guess ourselves too much. Right.
Mhm.
Don't
Right.
keep flip-flopping.
Mhm.
Right?
Right.
People who frequently change their minds, turn their decisions over, tend to fail in life. Yeah, interesting.
Using the Tao to manage the world, its demons have no power.
The demons of negativity still exist, but they cannot exert their harmful influence. On a personal level, this means that when the Tao is present in your heart, your inner demons have no power over you.
Not only do its demons have no power, its gods do not harm people.
This means the gods keep to their proper places and do not disrupt people's lives out of misguided benevolence. When we apply this concept to everyday cultivation, it means the wisdom of the Tao prevents us from taking foolish actions out of good intentions. Actions that, although well meaning, still end up making things more complicated and more difficult. It's like when I always want to help people who don't really need my help or just want, they don't really want to reciprocate. They just want, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not only do its gods not harm people, the sages also do not harm people.
Harming.
They both
No,
do no
stop.
harm.
No, delete that.
Oh, sure.
Harming in this context means meddling in people's lives. When we act in congruence with the Tao, we are able to relax, let things be, and simply enjoy the process. Mhm.
They both do no harm to one another, so virtue merges and returns.
Returning in this context means going back to the source, back to the Tao. Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're on the Urantia book,
Paper 49.
section 6, Terrestrial Escape. What do we mean by that?
Wow.
So this we mean the technique of ascension to the mansion worlds. How are we going to get to be to there's mechanisms for helping you invest in your spiritual body, right? Rather than in your material body. So how do you, in material items here, Okay.
I'll start. All of the differing physical.
Whoa.
Oops, what happened?
I don't know, something happened, dude. I think it was pressing on the pad. Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Yeah.
All of the differing physical types and planetary series of mortals alike enjoy the ministry of thought adjusters, guardian angels, and the various orders of the messenger hosts of the infinite spirit. All alike are liberated from the bonds of flesh by the emancipation of natural death, and all alike go thence to the Urantia worlds of spiritual evolution and mind progress. From time to time, on motion of the planetary authorities or the system rulers, special resurrections of the sleeping survivors are conducted. Such resurrections occur at least every millennium of planetary time, when not all but many of those who sleep in the dust awake.
Every 1,000 years, every millennium. So yeah, so that's probably happening.
These special resurrections are the occasion for mobilizing special groups of ascenders for specific service in the local universe plan of mortal ascension. There are both practical reasons and sentimental associations connected with these special resurrections. I'll let you go.
Okay. Throughout the earlier ages of an inhabited world, many are called to the mansion spheres at the special and at the millennial resurrections. But most survivors are repersonalized at the inauguration of a new dispensation associated with the advent of a divine son or a planetary prince. Okay, so let me see if I can get this. So there are every 1,000 years. Okay, there's special resurrections, right?
The sleeping survivors.
To do this, but at least the main ones are when the dispensations come, like every few thousand. Well, like with the planetary prince, some of them came and were ascended. And with the Adam and Eve, with Melchizedek, and with Jesus, and Okay, so every few thousand years that happens. Okay. Throughout the earlier ages of an inhabited world, many are called to the mansion spheres at the special and the millennial resurrections. But most survivors are repersonalized at the inauguration of a new dispensation associated with the advent of a divine son or a planetary prince. Okay, all right, I'm just going to keep going. Mortals of the dispensational or group order of survival. So it makes a difference, like your experience, how you, at what time you escaped the world. With the arrival of the first adjuster on an inhabited world, the guardian seraphim also make their appearance. They are indispensable to terrestrial escape. Throughout the life lapse period of the sleeping survivors, the spiritual values and eternal realities of their newly evolved and immortal souls are held as a sacred trust by the personal or by the group guardian seraphim. The group guardians of assignment to the sleeping survivors always function with the judgment sons on their world advents. He shall send his angels and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds. With each seraphim of assignment to the repersonalization of a sleeping mortal, there functions the returned adjuster, the same immortal father fragment that lived in him during the days in the flesh, and thus is identity restored and personality resurrected. During the sleep of their subjects, these waiting adjusters serve on Divinington. They never indwell another mortal mind in this interim. While the older worlds of mortal existence harbor those highly developed beings and exquisitely spiritual types of human beings who are virtually exempt from the Urantia life, the earlier ages of the animal origin races are characterized by primitive mortals who are so immature that fusion with their adjusters is impossible. The reawakening of these mortals is accomplished by the guardian seraphim in conjunction with an individualized portion of the immortal spirit of the third source and center. So those are candidates for fusion, for spirit fusion instead of father fusion. Okay? Okay, do you want to go here?
Thus are the sleeping survivors of a planetary age personalized in the dispensational roll calls, but with regard to the non-salvable personalities of a realm, no immortal spirit is present to function with the group guardians of destiny, and this constitutes cessation of creature existence. Wow. While some of your records have pictured these events as taking place on the planets of mortal death, they all really occur on the mansion worlds. So nobody ends here. Everybody goes on to the mansion worlds.
Well, it says there are non-salvable personalities of a realm, but it has to do with evolution too. Like we're talking about the earliest.
But it says no immortal spirit is present to function with the group guardians
Right.
of destiny, and this constitutes cessation of creature existence. Oh, okay.
So right, so when those, because you have the group guardians of a group of people,
Mhm.
but individuals within that group may or may not have.
While some of your records have pictured these events as taking place on the planets of mortal death, they all really occur on the mansion worlds.
Mhm.
So none of that occurs on Urantia. It occurs on the
Right.
mansion worlds.
Yeah, because you're not obligated to fuse or anything.
Okay, mortals of the individual orders of ascension. The individual progress of human beings is measured by their successive attainment and travel mastery of the seven cosmic circles. These circles of mortal progression are levels of associated intellectual, social, spiritual, and cosmic insight values. Starting out in the seventh circle, mortals strive for the first, and all who have attained the third immediately have personal guardians of destiny assigned to them. These mortals may be repersonalized in the Urantia life, independent of dispensational or other adjudications.
Remember when we were in Texas, there was people saying, "Well, I think I'm in the third circle," but you know what I mean? They were like, they're going like that, you know.
Mhm.
You know what? I don't know this. I know I recognize my character flaws. I know I do have them. I don't know with regard to all of that how significant those flaws are in retarding my progress. I guess I have faith in the whole scheme of things
Mhm.
that if I can't let
Mhm.
go of my flaws, they're gonna be forced. They're gonna be forced away from me.
Mhm.
Okay, so I resigned myself to that, and I don't know. How could I know? How could I know? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm suspicious of people going like, "Well, I'm in," I, what I mean.
Mhm.
I just know I do have guardian angels for sure. I know that because they show up when I need them. It's like, but
I'm just on a journey and in awe of each new day and
I
each new
I know.
vision.
I don't have a way of like measuring my progress. I've got nothing to measure it against or compare it to. I just, how do I just give up on that. I don't do that. So, so yeah, but I thought that was amusing. Something over there in Texas. Well, I think I'm on the third, but you know what I mean? Whatever, but okay.
Throughout the earlier stages of an evolutionary world, few mortals go to judgment on the third day. But as the ages pass, more and more of the personal guardians of destiny are assigned to the advancing mortals, and thus increasing numbers of these evolving creatures are repersonalized on the first mansion world on the third day after natural death.
Right.
On such occasions, the return of the adjusters signalizes the awakening of the human soul, and this is repersonalization of the dead, just as literally as when the en masse roll is called at the end of a dispensation on the evolutionary worlds. There are three groups of individual ascenders. The less advanced land on the initial or first mansion world. The more advanced group may take up the Urantia career on any of the intermediate mansion worlds in accordance with previous planetary progression. The most advanced of these orders really begin their Urantia experience on the seventh mansion world.
Wow. So by then you have to have made your decision before you leave the mansion worlds. You have to decide to follow God or to cease to exist. Those are the only choices: to follow God or to cease to exist. In reality, although a twisted mind is going to perceive that choice differently. That's kind of a given, but it's just really fascinating. So you think of it, them like the Judgment Day thing. That's the actual thing. And they call the names of the people who are sleeping survivors. And of course, we have in Christian doctrine that this, or not doctrine, but story, whatever the sweetheart, that that they're all sleeping in their graves, and then they're all coming out of their graves. And to me that seems like too concrete, too, you know what I mean. And I don't really think that. I think it's probably more like a reincarnation kind of thing, where they're sleeping and they're reincarnating kind of like automatically, and they don't really know, they don't really have any they just keep doing that, so they're sleeping, but they're still kind of quasi alive, kind of like, you know what I mean. And maybe they probably heard about God and all this stuff, but it's like they kind of, and I think that's true for a lot of people. They just got to live their lives because they live difficult lives. And okay, so then at some point, at the end of the dispensation, the angels come down and say, okay, enough is enough. So you guys here, we're gonna call you forward, even though when they haven't made an actual conscious choice, but they get to go to the mansion worlds anyway and see what's up there, and be awakened forcefully. It's like you're right. Yeah. Okay. It's like you've been asleep now. You've been like zombie like here on this earth. Now here.
Nothing to do with the reanimation of the dead.
No. That's so stinky to me. Isn't that stinky?
When that news story this morning about Patrice Lumumba, only his tooth was left. So
what's, it's just a tooth, guys.
Yeah, I like orange.
It was pretty, it was pretty creepy for that guard to have kept as a trophy. That was kind of pretty repulsive. But anyway, I like this. I like that idea.
You go.
Okay. Mortals of the probationary dependent orders of succession. Good grief. There's all kinds of things like this. The arrival of an adjuster constitutes identity in the eyes of the universe, and all indwelt beings are on the roll calls of justice, but temporal life on the evolutionary world is uncertain, and many die in youth before choosing the paradise career. Yeah. Such adjuster indwelt children and youths follow the parent of the most advanced spiritual status.
Hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
So even if you have a child that's floundering, literally you can save them by being good yourself. That's meaningful to me. That's so important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So these children will follow the parent of the most advanced spiritual status, thus going to the system finality world, the probation nursery, on the third day, at a special resurrection, or at the regular millennial and dispensational roll calls. So that, if I go and my children go, and I worry about both of them this way, not just one, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think about both of them. But if I can be good, they can come.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even if they're not that young, I think
They'll
they
have
still
the opportunity to come.
well they'll well to the mansion worlds. I think they'll come. But once you're on the mansion world and you have some instruction and look around here, at that point, then you can make your choice. You can be aware of your survival of death before you make this choice, and you can choose to go forward or not, or if you're interested in what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, okay, okay. I'll keep going for a little bit.
Yep.
Children who die when too young to have thought adjusters are repersonalized on the finality world of the local systems, concomitant with the arrival of either parent on the mansion world. A child acquires physical entity. No, a child acquires, physical entity at mortal birth, but in the manner of survival of all adjusterless children are reckoned as still attached to their parents. Okay, so that might even include, babies that are in utero. I mean, I don't know. They're too young to get thought adjusters.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, but they might still be available to achieve thought adjusters if their parents are on the path.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a very real way, you can save your children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's very meaningful to me. Okay, in due course, thought adjusters come to indwell these little ones, while the seraphic ministry of both groups of the probationary dependent orders of survival is in general similar to that of the more advanced parent, or is equivalent to that of the parent in case only one survives. Those attaining the third circle, regardless of the status of their parents, are accorded personal guardians. So once you get to that third circle, you get two guardian angels.
Mm.
You get like a team of two guardian angels. Yeah, just for you. Where before there'd be like a team of guardian angels for like 10 different individuals or 100 different individuals, like that. Yeah. Here you get your own two.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a yin and a yang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Similar probation nurseries are maintained on the finaliter spheres of the constellation and the universe headquarters for the adjusterless children of the primary and secondary modified orders of ascenders. Okay, you go now.
Mortals of the secondary modified orders of ascension. These are the progressive human beings of the intermediate evolutionary worlds. As a rule, they are not immune to natural death, but they are exempt from passing through the seven mansion worlds. Whoa.
Okay, wow.
The less perfected group reawaken on the headquarters of their local system, passing by only the mansion worlds. The intermediate group go to the constellation training worlds. They pass by the entire Urantia regime of the local system.
Wow. Okay, so this is who does this?
The intermediate group of
Intermediate
secondary
evolutionary worlds, more secondary modified orders of ascension. So those must be people who are,
advanced even here in
or
Urantia.
I don't know if they're even here in Urantia, because I think maybe they're like people from like worlds that are already settled in light and life and stuff like
That
that.
could be. The intermediate group go to the constellation training worlds. They pass by the entire Morantia regime of the local system. Still further on in the planetary ages of spiritual striving, many survivors awaken on the constellation headquarters, and there begin the paradise ascent.
Okay, so it depends on how much you have achieved here
Mhm.
on the terrestrial
Well,
world. So if
there
the whole,
there are some enlightened people here that are way ahead of us.
that's true, but they're still affected by like upbringing and like
Mhm.
growing up in the.
Mhm.
But I mean, if the whole planet or the whole culture is is higher, like there's no wars, there's no starving, there's
Mhm.
every,
Mhm.
you help everybody, everybody's valuable, and we're all kind of like in it together, and we all.
Go in large groups
So
right to the.
so there doesn't even exist. It'd be kind of like, yeah, then we'll go, then they can start, at a higher level if they're already, you know
All
yeah.
right, all you Urantians, you're going to kindergarten in the first world.
Right. Well, see, because we're raised here in this muck, see, behaving in this poor way, it always presents itself to as an option to you. It always, in your mind, it presents itself as an option to, yeah, in my worst moments here, it's like I could go get a drink, and I'm thinking like, could I do that? It's like, and then I go through a little thing, and I say, no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. What would happen if I did that? And then it's be like, well, it'd be, like this, and then, but then it would be bad.
Mhm.
So you go through that, but that presents itself, to these people here. That's not an option because they've never known anything like that.
Right.
They've never
Mhm.
known anything like that, so it's not something that doesn't occur to them.
Mhm.
So even our highest leaders here, in times of difficulty, that violence still presents itself, and they have to fight it down. But I mean, that's valuable in itself that they do that you do that, and you continually fight that urge down or those thoughts down.
Mhm.
That's actually makes that person a valuable asset because they know how to do that.
Mhm.
See, so these other higher beings, see, it's like you're high in a way, but you're low in another way,
Right.
right?
Right. Mhm.
So, and that's so Tao, that's so on point here. But I mean, both kinds of individuals are valuable to God and have served, great purposes, and, yeah,
Mhm.
fulfill their potential. But here, because that's why we have this status of Agandanters, because here we're messed up. We got to go to kindergarten, but we know what it is to ascend, to really ascend and claw and climb and sacrifice for that. And other races of beings don't know that. They'll never know that, no matter what they do. So it's a valuable thing.
Mhm.
But you have to choose it consistently. You have to choose the growth. Okay, keep going there.
But before any of these groups may go forward, they must journey back as instructors to the worlds they missed, gaining many experiences as teachers in those realms which they passed by as students. They all subsequently proceed to paradise by the ordained routes of mortal progression. Mortals of the primary modified order of ascension. These mortals belong to the adjust or fuse type of evolutionary life, but they are most often representative of the final phases of human development on an evolving world. These glorified beings are exempt from passing through the portals of death. They are submitted to sun seizure. They are translated from among the living and appear immediately in the presence of the sovereign sun on the headquarters of the
Wow.
local universe.
So it's like
Wow.
immediately you go up to Jesus and you're like, wow. And they probably don't even have like death like we know it, like is like a difficult death by disease or violence or anything, or even like they just like, okay, like I've lived a good life, okay, I'm old here, I'm old, it's time to die, I'm going to die, and I'm going to, like, go You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, yeah,
Some of us try that and go, am I still in this world?
yeah. Okay, I don't know.
These are the mortals who fuse with their adjusters during mortal life and
Right, like spontaneous, like spontaneous combustion kind of stuff.
and such
Yeah.
adjuster fused personalities traverse space freely before being clothed with Urantia forms. These fused souls go by direct adjuster transit to the resurrection halls of the higher Urantia spheres, where they receive their initial Urantia investiture, just as do all mortals arriving from evolutionary worlds. This primary modified order of mortal ascension may apply to individuals in any of the planetary series, from the lowest to the highest stages of the adjuster fusion worlds, but it more frequently functions on the older of these spheres, after they have received the benefits of numerous sojourns of the divine sons. With the establishment of the planetary era of light and life, many go to the universe Morantia worlds by the primary modified order of translation. Further along in the advanced stages of settled existence, when the majority of the mortals leaving a realm are embraced in this class, the planet is regarded as belonging to this series. Natural death becomes decreasingly frequent on these spheres, long settled in light and life.
Right. So, when you have a natural or unexpected death, it's like something like, it's like, okay,
Time to go.
it's just time to go. Okay, and they just go.
Presented by Melchizedek of the Jerusalem School of Planetary Administration.
Yeah. Okay, next time it's paper 50. That's really interesting, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, so cool. All right. Thank you very much.
We have things to do and places to go.
Yeah. Have a good day. Bye.
Great day. Bye now.